approving the minutes with removing R1. You rather go to R1 actually and then table it, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
So the minutes, okay, thank you for doing that. So the minutes is 48 pages and we just got them today. So we're not going to, my suggestion is not to vote on it.
Correct. Okay.
The C1 will be 20 minutes. R1, Tanner will do a short spiel. And then we would ask that the public hearing be opened and closed, and that the public hearing would be for both. But we don't anticipate anybody being there to talk about it. The applicant is supposed to be logging in in case we need him. But
okay. I don't think we
still have to. Right now. We still have to kind of open and close the public hearing.
We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and the website now. We still have 5 minutes till the meeting starts, but we are live.
Okay.
Thank you.
So currently we have three members here. We'll need another one, hopefully. Shortly.
Good afternoon. You can hear me, correct?
There you're.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, here we go. Here we got our fourth member. Ronnie.
Ronnie's got his fighter pilot headgear on, looks like.
Right. Yep. You're Ronnie, you're muted. Can you, I don't know if you can unmute yourself or maybe Sean can unmute you.
I got it.
Okay, you got it. Yeah, there you know.
I was just telling Tom I don't have all the modern conveniences because I live in an old house.
Okay. All right.
Good evening, everyone. This is Sean Kimball with Rockdale County Public Relations Department. We have a guest in named Ken. Can you please supply your last name just so we'll have it on the file here?
It's Wood.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. Again, we have looks like a Mitch.
Yes, sir.
Would you please supply your last name?
Mitch Peavy.
All right, can you place it on your name there? I'm seeing it's iPad Mitch. Can
Well,
you
I
add
can
to
try.
change your name?
I can try. I
I
may
can do
turn
it
into
for
a
you.
cat.
I'll take it for you. So it's Mitch. You said PV. Can you spell your
PV.
last name for me?
P is in Paul, Edgar, Victory. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Also, Marvin. Is Marvin your first name or last?
Yes, Marvin
Marvin Flanagan.
Flanagan.
I feel I know Marvin Flanagan.
I hope so.
Do you know how to change your name so it's the full name?
Yes, Flanagan, Marvin Flanagan.
So correct me if I misspelled your name. Please let me know.
Just one in.
Just one in. Okay.
Yes. That's correct.
Thank you. Good evening, Chief Gabe. How are you this evening?
Hey, good evening. I hope everyone's doing well tonight.
You too. Thank you. All right, I got 7 o'clock here, so we can begin our meeting of the Conyers Rockdale Planning Commission for February 11th, 2021. And the first item on the agenda will be the housekeeping. I'll have Karis present that.
So weird, Tanner. Tanner's setup is weird. I did it again. Keep on doing this. Share screen. Share audio.
This meeting is being streamed live on Facebook and being recorded. Due to audio sensitivity, please refrain from sidebar conversations or personal comments for anyone in attendance. There is a 15-second delay between the live meeting and the Facebook stream. All virtual participants' microphones will be automatically muted by the meeting facilitator. For those in attendance here in the auditorium, please do not stream Zoom or Facebook due to negative impacts on the audio. Comments submitted via Facebook will become an official part of the record. Please limit the comments to the case being heard.
All right, is that you okay? Okay. All right, the next item would be an invocation, and bow your heads. Heavenly Father, please bless us as we meet tonight. Please continue to help us through these trying times. Please keep us all free from injury, hurt, and harm. And so today, please help make the vaccinations more accessible to all of us. so you all may begin to be protected from this virus. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, next item would be the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome me to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands,
to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. We have flag music. All right. Okay. Roll call. Call your name if you're here. Please say aye. Tom. Oh, you got it. And you're here.
I
Okay.
just got a message from Karen. She'll be late.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Ernestine.
Here.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Medessar.
Aye.
Ronnie.
aye.
Tawana. Tawana's not here, and so Karen will be late. Okay. Next item, the approval of the minutes of the January 14th meeting. They're not quite, well, we did get them today, but not quite ready for us to review. So we want a motion to defer to our next meeting for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we defer the approval of those minutes till next meeting.
I'll second it.
Ahmad.
Okay. Ahmad, second by Ahmad. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Next item on the agenda will be the rules of procedures for public hearings.
If you are joining us in person, each speaker must sign their name to the appropriate zoning case sheet and fill out a public comment card to register your intent to speak prior to the start of this meeting. If you are joining us virtually, you should have registered your intent to speak with staff prior to the start of this meeting. Each item of business will be handled in the order that it appears on the agenda, unless upon motion of the Planning Commission, the order is changed. A member of the city or county planning staff will present each item to the Planning Commission and will further provide a recommendation upon each item of business. The zoning applicant or the agent will state their name and address and will have 10 minutes in which to make his or her presentation. Any portion of their 10 minutes may be reserved for rebuttal following the opposition to the application. After the applicant's presentation, all registered speakers who wish to speak in favor of the application will then be heard. The secretary will call all speakers by name in the order of persons attending live in the auditorium, then persons attending via the virtual meeting. Prior to speaking upon the item, each speaker will state their name and address. They will also be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the applicant has made his or her presentation and the speakers in favor of the application have been heard, the secretary will call upon the registered speakers in opposition to the application. The speakers will be called by name in the order of persons attending live in the auditorium, then persons attending via the virtual meeting. The opposition will likewise be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the public hearing portion is closed, no other speakers will be heard. After all public comments have been heard, the Planning Commission may hold a general discussion. The Planning Commission will then vote and forward the recommendation onto the City of Conyers City Council or the Rockdale County Board of Commissioners public hearing.
All right, thank you. Next item would be new business, City of Conyers. Item C1, we'll be looking at both the comprehensive land use plan and the zoning map. So it's case number 0/2021 ordinance 1237. The C1A, a request to amend the comprehensive land use plan from neighborhood commercial to general commercial. And C1B, a request to amend the official zoning map from neighborhood business BN and general business PG. Location unaddressed, parcel 068001001A, size 3.1 acres, owner Ingram Real Estate Holdings LLC, applicant Civil Consulting Engineers Inc. And we will, again, we will have two public hearings on this, one for the comprehensive land use plan and one for the official zoning map, which means two motions will be required. And instead of the 10 minutes, we'll allow 20 minutes since we have two items. Mr. Gaither.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see the presentation in front of you?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So the applicant is civil consulting engineer, the property owner is Ingram Real Estate Holdings LLC. As you stated, this is a request to amend the comprehensive land use plan from neighborhood commercial to general commercial, and also to amend the official zoning map from neighborhood business to general business. The parcel in question is an unaddressed parcel. It is parcel 068001001A, total of 3.1 acres. This is land lot 326 of the 16th district. Let's see, let me get for all of those that can see there's the location at the intersection of Eastview Road and Sigmund Road. Their Brandon Glen Apartments, which are a county zoning, is behind it. It fronts Sigmund and Eastview, and it's in a predominant travel corridor. The present zoning classification is neighborhood business, and the present future land use designation is neighborhood commercial. The property is predominantly forested. There's the current zoning there of the property and the properties around it. To the north, you have neighborhood business. You have commercial use with the gas station and convenience store. To the south, you have Rockdale County R3, which is the multifamily Brandon Glen Apartments. You have industrial distribution across Eastview Road. It's vacant parcel. And to the west, you have general business, which is a commercial use. Eastview Road is a collector street and Sigmund Road is a principal arterial. Water and sewer service is provided by Rockdale Water Resources and already available at the site. Now, as with all zoning proposals, there are the standards for exercising the zoning powers. Those are stated, there's 8 criteria there. A, whether a proposed request will permit a use that is suitable in view and use of the development of adjacent and nearby properties. Staff believes, yes, this request will permit a use that is suitable to those on adjacent nearby properties. B, whether the proposed request will adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby properties. No, the request will not adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby properties. C, whether the property to be affected by a proposed request has a reasonable economic use as currently zoned. Yes, staff believes there are many uses allowed within the neighborhood business district that would result in a reasonable economic use. D, whether the proposed request will result in a use that will or could cause an excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, or schools. Staff believes it is possible that any use allowed in BG, the general business district, could be burdensome to existing streets, utilities, or schools, but so could many of the uses allowed in the current zoning. E, whether the proposed request is in conformity with the policy and intent of the comprehensive plan. Well, the zoning request is not in conformity with the policies and intent of the comp plan, thus the request for the future land use map amendment. A, whether there are existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property that give supporting grounds for either approval or disapproval of the request. Outside of rapidly changing economic conditions, staff is unaware of any existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property. G, whether and the extent to which the proposal would result in significant adverse impacts on the natural environment. The proposed zoning designation should have no adverse impacts on the natural environment. Depending upon how the property is developed, there are potential impacts to the natural environment. However, that could occur under the current zoning. And H, any other matters that may be deemed appropriate by the department, the planning commission, or city council in review of the consideration of this request. Well, this property is within the North Conyers Design Overlay District and subject to those design standards. Furthermore, the Georgia Department of Transportation is planning a widening of Sigmund Road, and that project will impact the subject property. The applicant is proposing to rezone this property for the purpose of developing it with a gas station and convenience store with 2 secondary tenant spaces, one which could be a quick serve restaurant. Now, what we have to keep in mind is the general business district is to provide suitable areas for the various types of various types of community and regional oriented commercial activities, including retail uses and wholesale uses. Services a large sector of the community. The general business district is intended to be located along arterial streets and at locations that are appropriate for community and regional areas, as opposed to locations that are primarily served by local neighborhoods. When considering a change in zoning, it is imperative that we keep in mind all permitted and special uses for the requested district, as not all uses may be compatible to the surrounding area and could have unintended consequences. As stated, the applicant proposes to develop the site with a gas station, convenience store, and potential tenant spaces. There are 144 permitted and special uses identified within the BG's district, however, not all of which would be appropriate at this location. In comparison, there are 62 permitted and special uses identified within the neighborhood business district. This proposed development would be similar to the existing gas station with convenience store and vacant tenant spaces that were built in 2008 across the street at 1135 Sigmund Road. 1135 Sigmund Road was rezoned to neighborhood business with a list of conditions on November 19, 2003, excuse me, yeah, that's right. And at that time, gas stations with convenience stores was a permitted use in the neighborhood business district. Now, as stated, the property is within the North Conyers Design Overlay District and subject to those design standards within that overlay district. Some of the elements of the North Conyers Design District are specific location for drive-through facilities, prohibited uses such as pawn shop, beer, wine, liquor store, car wash, check cashing, payday lending, title pawn, tattoo and piercing establishments, automobile dealer, and many warehouses. There are architectural standards such as material requirements, prohibition of fluorescent and neon colors, building placement standards, signage standards, and streetscape design standards such as decorative pedestrian lighting and street trees. If you have any questions of staff, I'll be happy to answer them at this time. If not, the applicant is dialed in and ready to present, and I'll be happy to give the staff recommendation after the public hearing is closed.
Okay. Any questions for Gaither at this time? Now we can hear from the applicant.
Hi, this is Terry Boomer with Civil Consulting Engineers. I am joined with Marissa, who is the engineer on this project, Marissa Bridges. We're representing a client that would like to put in a convenience store, a drive-through restaurant, perhaps donut, perhaps coffee, perhaps sandwich shop, and some adjacent retail as well. We understand that the DOT is widening the Sigmund Road, and we feel that we have ample property and we can accommodate the DOT, and we'll dedicate right away at that time should they request. The access to Sigmund Road we propose is a right in, right out, similar to the opposing driveway. And we will leave that with the DOT. We're only proposing on the 3-acre site, we're only proposing an additional impervious area of a little over 50%. Let me see what we got. We got 3.1 acres, proposed impervious area 1.3 acres, 45%. So we're not taking a tremendous chunk out of the property for impervious area. The property is extremely, has extreme topographic relief. That's part of the challenge and why the property couldn't be built out to its full extent of perhaps 20 or 30,000 square feet. So we're leaving it at the 7,900 square feet as proposed and presented, which I think is largely due to the topographic relief. If you notice the access road off of East View Road, the access is a more or less what I call a billy goat trail. It's just absorbing contours and grades. until you get down to the flat area, the level area, the finished floor elevations of the convenience store, retail shop, and restaurant. The convenience store aspect of the property is going to be served with 5 mechanical pump dispensers underneath a canopy, and will serve the typical unleaded, premium, standard, and upgraded gas. We will accommodate any overlay district requirement, street trees, furniture, lights, trash cans, receptacles, whatever. We have no issues with any of the conditions of landscaping or architectural for that overlay district. We'll front both sides of the property with pedestrian access and sidewalk, and you'll see to the north access along Sigmund Road will bring the pedestrians into the development in a relatively safe manner through a crosswalk. We have a large buffer to the west that we'll incorporate and utilize. And then along the Billy Goat Trail, if you will, we have additional green space that we will plant as well. We've got additional green space between the drive-through and Billy Goat Trail that we'll plant and screen as well. So the neighborhood to the west will be sufficiently screened and isolated from this development. They're on 2 different topographic planes, so I don't anticipate any interference from one to the other. Our detention, as I said, this property has a tremendous topographic relief. Our detention will be to the north in an open pond. We will consider water quality, channel protection, runoff reduction, and detention attenuation as required by the Georgia Stormwater Management Coastal Supplement and adopted by the ARC. I reserve any additional time for Marissa should she want to interject or add, and I will answer questions at this time.
One question, Mr. Boomer. You mentioned the pedestrian sidewalks.
Yes.
How far will the sidewalks be from the connecting neighborhood that you mentioned, or will they connect up to them at all?
We will bring it to the extent of our property limits. And I don't think that there's connectivity. I'm not sure if there's connectivity at the radius return of the condo development, townhome development or not. But we'll bring it to the extent of our western property line. And if there's a sidewalk there, we'll definitely connect to it. And then to the north along Sigmund Road, there is a sidewalk and we'll connect to it.
I just have concerns about, it'd be a wonderful facility for that area, but if you've got a condo subdivision nearby, that, creates a pedestrian want to use to get down to your location. And without sidewalks all the way up, I would see that as a danger to pedestrians. Just don't know how far that is from the condos. Scott, can you help me there?
Yes, sir. What condos are you referring to, sir?
You said they bordered condos, and I was just, how close to them are they?
Brandon Glen Apartments, if you look on the screen that I'm sharing, is directly to the west, right against this property. I'm not sure if you can see my pointer. That's an apartment, multifamily. You've got single family detached at Village Place across Eastview.
Well, are there sidewalks on either side?
There is not sidewalk along Eastview, no, sir. The development is required to let me pull that back up. The development is required to install sidewalk along the entire road frontage of the property. Here is that western edge where you have Brandon Glen Apartments. they'll tie their sidewalk to the property line. At any future time, should the city or county do any road improvements on Eastview, then they would be able to connect their sidewalk in.
Okay. I was just looking for pedestrian safety at that point.
Yes, sir.
This is Ronnie. There are a lot of people that walk along that Eastview property right now, going down across Sigmund Road. So this is actually going to be more pedestrian safe going here. That way they won't have to cross Sigmund Road.
So if I heard you correctly, Ronnie, any pedestrians that walk down Eastview Road go to,
They go across the road right there to the convenience store across the street.
yes, sir.
There's an awful lot of pedestrian traffic going across there right now, coming from the apartments.
Yes,
and
sir.
from the housing development, mostly the apartments. So this actually should make it safer for people because they won't have to cross Sigmund Road.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Mr. Boomer, have you decided on a tenant for the gas yet?
I don't believe they have. Typically, we flirt with Circle K. And then the gas can be branded by BP, Chevron, or whoever steps up.
Well, Chevron's across the street now, Chevron Texaco.
Well, that wouldn't be Chevron then, would it?
No.
Yeah. But we do a lot of Circle Ks, and this may be a Circle K.
That'd be new. That would be new for Rockdale.
Good. They've got an upscale building and prototype that they use and that we've developed. Now I don't have the owners say so on who the user is. Marissa, did they let us know who the user was going to be?
No, not at this point. I'm not too sure, but I do believe he's leaning towards the Circle K product.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Boomer, you also mentioned donut shop. Can we make it mandatory that it's Krispy Kreme?
Well, Shaquille O'Neal's looking for a new spot right now.
Right, yeah, he lost one this week.
Yeah, I'll put in the request.
There you go.
You can see the hot and ready sign up by Eastview and down by Sigmund.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we open up? Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of anyone signed up to speak. I'll have to defer to the county to see if they have anyone who is listed to speak.
Okay.
We have no one at the auditorium that's speaking on this subject tonight.
Okay. All right. If that's the case, then we can go and hear the city's recommendation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The staff recommends approval of the request to amend the comprehensive land use plan from neighborhood commercial to general commercial for parcel 068001001A, 3.1 acres. And staff recommends approval of the request to amend the official zoning map from neighborhood business to general business for parcel 068001001A, 3.1 acres, as this request will allow development that is consistent and compatible with the surrounding area. And as you previously stated before we began this agenda item, it will require 2 motions and 2 votes.
Mr. Chairman, I vote to approve the request to amend comprehensive land use plan, neighborhood commercial to general commercial, C1A.
We have a motion on the table.
A second.
Second. Okay. I do, in discussion, do have a question. Scott, we are doing the comprehensive land use plan and the rezoning, but I want to point out that it is not conditioned to this gas station. It's conditioned, it's just we're doing the zoning. Is that correct? I mean, if they said they don't want to do a gas station, something else could potentially go in here of general business. Not that this is going to happen, but it's for the record.
You are correct. Yes, sir. Staff is not recommending any conditions.
Okay.
My
So they
motion
don't-
stands.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we got the motion. Any further discussion? Okay. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aaron Bitten, I say aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Did we get a second on record?
You did.
Yes. Okay. All right. None opposed. The motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of request to amend the official zoning map from neighborhood business B into general business BG, item C1B.
Motion to approve the item C1B.
Second.
Second. Karen.
Second by, was that Tina?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay.
It was Karen, but
Aaron.
I don't know. I think Ronnie may have gotten there before I did, but.
Okay. There we go.
Doesn't
Second by
matter.
Ronnie. Okay. Any discussion? Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Okay. All righty. Moving on to Rockdale County business. Item R1, R1A, future land use map case number 2021-02. A request to amend the future land use map to redesignated property from commercial to high density residential. R1B, rezoning case number 2021-03. A request to rezone property from C2 general commercial to RM multifamily. Location 0 Old Salem Road, Conyers, Georgia 30094. Tax parcel number 07500100007. The size is 13.02 acres. Owner Jack Davis. Agent Corridor Development. And these again are, it's two public hearings, two motions required. R1A, future land use map case number 2021-02. R1B, rezoning case number 2021-03. And we will hear from the county.
All right, good evening, everybody. So we are going ahead and get started. This is Tanner Bard, County Planner. And so tonight we are going to start off with a proposed amendment to the future land use map and rezoning case, as mentioned, to multifamily. And this is for the purpose of development of a 96 to 105 unit townhome development. Before we get started and get too far into the details, I wanted to mention as well that the county staff and developer are going to recommend later that this be continued to the next planning commission meeting. And so we'll go over those details as to why coming up. All right.
Okay.
So this is the general location. We're talking about at the intersection of Salem Gateway and Old Salem Road. So if you're familiar with the area, this is kind of back behind where the Salem Gateway Shopping Center is. If you're going towards or trying to connect to Irish Drive, going towards Springfield Baptist Church. So there's currently a patch of woods right there. And that's the property we're talking about here. Again, the current zoning is C2 general commercial and commercial on the future land use map as well. So the applicant is proposing for the rezoning and amendment to the future land use maps and hopes to develop a townhome neighborhood on the parcel. Now this is the original layout site design for the townhome development. And now with recent townhome developments being brought forward and with all the comments and concerns around the number of rear entry units, the availability of parking, and the width of streets, county staff and the developer and builder are working together to bring forth a design alternative that kind of accommodates some of the comments we've heard from Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners as well. So with this particular site layout, the main concern is down here on the Salem Road side. So if you can follow my cursor, this is Old Salem Road. And you can see here, we have a couple of streets that dead end and abut to Salem Road. So the design alternative that we're currently kind of working out the kinks on would instead reorient these units and having a row face Old Salem Road and have a rear alleyway that will provide rear entry access to this row of townhomes. This design alternative also adds about 10 extra townhomes to the development. It adds designated parallel parking and it adds additional overflow parking as well. Additionally, this design alternative will add enhanced pedestrian facilities. So that will be adding a sidewalk along the frontage of Old Salem Road. So if you could imagine that row of townhomes, their stoops and their front doors will have a connection to that sidewalk. And like I mentioned before, this new design alternative will kind of create a visual consistency and enhanced aesthetics as you drive down Old Salem Road. And so just to give you a better idea of kind of what we're working towards here, so this is kind of an example. The photo on the left side is the proposed front entry design that was put forth by the developer. So this is kind of the style of townhome we're talking about. And then on the right side is a picture of what a rear entry design looks like. This was not put forth by the developer, but this is just an example from neighboring DeKalb County. And so this is kind of what the direction is that the county and the developer are working towards as you drive down Old Salem Road, to have these pedestrian facilities and the front facade face Old Salem Road while offering the rear entry along a rear alleyway behind the row of townhomes. So like I said before, the proposed project will provide more additional townhome residencies for Rockdale County. And this is more consistent, of course, with the comprehensive plan's housing goal, just to provide a diverse housing and accommodate the changing needs of the community. And then this would result in a housing type that, again, is not prevalent in the county. Additionally, developing this tract of land as townhomes instead of commercial, as it is currently zoned, would provide a more logical buffer between the more intense commercial and residential land uses to the north and east. So we're talking about the Tall Oaks apartment complex to the east, and then the Old Salem Gateway Shopping Center to the north, providing a buffer between those more intense uses and the single family neighborhoods to the south of this development along Old Salem Road. So this will kind of provide a more logical buffer and will also enhance the street aesthetics along Old Salem Road, enhance bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. And additionally, by doing a townhome development, this will preserve existing ecological features on the property. On the site plan, you'll notice that there's a stream that kind of runs through. And so this developer is working to kind of preserve that ecological feature and make sure that that is pristine. Now, again, just to kind of summarize here, we're changing the zoning from general, we're proposing to change the zoning from general commercial and the future land use category from commercial for the 0 Old Salem Road property as to provide more diverse housing options and to preserve ecological features on the property. And then Corridor Development and Alliance is currently working with county staff to again finalize the details on this design alternative to better address the concerns brought forth from Planning Commission and the county commissioners as well. And this includes providing a mixture of rear and front entry units. And so, of course, as we finalize these details, the county has to put forth some coordination effort between the developer, the builder, and the community to make sure we're capturing everybody's concerns and everybody's best interest on this as well. So that is it for me on kind of the general summary of this proposal.
Any questions? Okay, so at this time, you're requesting a continuance, but this time we'll hear from if the applicant wants to speak, or we'll hear from him or her.
Yep. Mitch, are you there?
I am. Thank you. I am Mitch Peavy with Alliance Engineering. Is it coming through?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Alliance Engineering, 6095 Atlanta Highway in Flowery Branch, Georgia. What I did before we ever applied, I contacted staff and got to speak to Tiras, and he strongly recommended that we make contact with our neighbors. We sent out 30 letters to the neighbors, heard back from probably 21, 22 of them. A lot of questions, a lot of concerns. At that time, we had the rear of our units lined up along Old Salem Road. The comments we got back was they didn't want those folks from the people across the street, great folks, their houses from the 50s, early 50s or so. A lot of the original folks are still living there and had a lot of concerns about our folks watching them, or vice versa, back and forth. So then we turned, that's why you saw those end caps adjacent to Old Salem Road. We turned it based on the comments we got from our neighbors, trying to be a good neighbor. We're not trying to do something to hurt those folks, because they've been there first and we need to take care of them. That's what we're trying to do. Then 10 days or so ago, Tanner, we heard back from him saying that the county was wanting us to look at some mixed use type townhomes that have some rear entry units in this. That had been what the Planning Commission and the board had encouraged to happen. So we had not thought in those terms with that type of product. And so we did, he showed you the drawing that we produced, and so several things happened there. We've got, because you've got a road in the front, you've got the alleyway in between, we now have a little bit more impervious surface. And as you saw, we have from Old Salem, midway through our property where the creek is, we get a little squeezed in there. And what we need to do is make sure that the detention pond is sized properly. We're looking at the type of units. As he said, our builder is Rockland Homes. They are the townhome king in Metro Atlanta, in my opinion, is what they do. I've got other clients that when they start building next to them, they just shut down because they call them a Death Star for townhomes. They make such a nice product and they sell so quick. They wait for them to sell out and go away, then they can start selling theirs again. So it's a very quality oriented group, and the price wise, these would be, 220s up to 250s is where the price point we're trying to hit. So we got to look at that with the rear entry. I mean, we don't believe we can sell 350 townhomes here. And so we got to make sure we don't do something. We got to size them right and look at that. And so we're going through the market studies with that as well too. And we hope to come back then. Here is the example, have something factual for staff to look at and for the Planning Commission to say, this is what we want to build with those rear entry. We're not opposed to the rear entry. We understand where county's coming from, and we want to try and to abide by that. The worst thing that I can do is to agree to something tonight before we have all the facts. As I have gotten older, slow and steady is better than fast and wrong. And the worst thing I can do is come back in and say, 3 weeks from now, said, staff, we've messed up, and we've got a problem here. We've got to do a variance now. I don't want to do that. We'd like to come in, have the I's dotted, the T's crossed, and make sure that we're all on the same page. So that's why we're asking for the continuance. And, we're happy to talk to anybody if the neighbors have more concerns. A lot of them have my number, and I have stayed in contact with some of them. They're welcome to give us a call or stay in touch with staff. We're not trying to do anything behind anybody's back whatsoever. We're just trying to do the best we can to be a good neighbor, because we do believe this is a secondary commercial site if it had been developed as commercial, you would have empty buildings, vacant buildings there that would be a detriment to the community itself, with people hanging out and doing things there they shouldn't be doing. So we think we have a good location for a transitional property, and we just want to work through minor details now with staff where we come in. It's a win-win for everyone.
Any questions? Mr. Peavy? So you're also agreeable to continuance too, to give you all time to fix this up.
That's the hope.
Okay, all right, okay. There being no questions, is there anybody signed up to speak?
No, we do not have anybody signed up to speak.
All right, and we'll close well, first we need to hear the county's recommendation again. It's for the continuance, correct?
Yep. So I will go ahead and just share the screen again real quick, so we can. So the county is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend that the Board of Commissioners send this back to the Planning Commission in March as a form of continuance. And I just want to reiterate again to allow the county to do our due diligence and working with the developer and the builder to finalize some design details that have been brought forth in the past with other projects. And again, continuance just allows for the applicant to remain on the agenda for the next Planning Commission meeting without having the applicant resubmit a brand new rezoning application. So this will kind of help us finalize details on the front end rather than on the back end of this project.
Okay, thank you. Now close the public hearing portion, and any discussion or motions?
We need to make a motion for continuance.
Yes, that's what the county is.
Okay, I'll make a motion for continuance.
Well, first
March.
First we have two items. The future land use, we need two motions, future land use maps and the rezoning.
Okay, I'll make a motion for for continuance for the future land use map to be redesignated.
Okay. Motion to, and that's the continuance for the Board of Commissioners to send back this proposal to us in March.
Second, Ahmad.
Okay, second Ahmad. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? None opposed? Your dog okay with that, Karen, too? Okay, you're muted, but you might want to unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, briefly, I was bumped during that entire discussion, so I'm not going to vote on it.
Okay.
I just reconnected.
Okay, so we have one abstention. Because
I'm not going to vote on it because I did not get to hear any of the arguments or anything.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. All right, now we have the rezoning.
So we need a continuance for rezoning also, correct?
Okay. Continuance and recommending the Board of Commissioners send it back to us in March. Continuance. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any abstentions?
Karen.
One abstention. Karen, thank you. Okay. All right. Moving on to item R2. And again, this is comprehensive land use map amendment and rezoning. R2A is a future land use map case number 2021-03. A request to amend the future land use map to redesignated property from light industrial and medium density to high density residential. R2B, rezoning case number 2021-04. A request to rezone R1 single family to RM multifamily. Location is 2325, 2385, and 0 G's Mills Road and 0 Glen Road, And number of tax parcels and size is 60.2 acres. Owner is Monica Dollar, Stanley Dollar, John Cato, Charles Ray Singleton Jr., and Stephen A. Singleton. Agent is Inline Communities LLC. And again, we'll have the 2 public hearings combined in one. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Terry Petrie, zoning administrator. Okay, so the Plan Commission actually heard this or a similar project for 23 acres or so back in July, and the project was withdrawn, but now it is back with us for 60.2 acres. The proposal is for a 251 unit townhome development. As Mr. Chairman said, the request is to amend the future land use map category from light industrial and medium density residential to high density residential, along with rezoning from single family residential to multifamily residential. This is bordering the city of Conyers, just east of Sigmund Road. It is south of G's Mill, north of a 100-foot transmission line easement, and west of Glen Road. You do have subdivisions across G's Mill Road, a single family residential detached, and single family residential detached across Glen Road, along with 5-acre lot and 3-acre lots and the 2-acre lot directly adjacent to the property. This area of city of Conyers is industrial. The future land use is industrial for the properties adjacent to G's Mill Road, and medium density residential are adjacent to the Glen Road. The zoning, the left map is Rockdale County zoning, and as you can see, it's residential with light industrial across the G's Mill, adjacent to the Millstone Manor, I believe. And the zoning map to the right is the city of Conyers. And so this is directly adjacent to city of Conyers industrial zoning. So just a little history on this. The original proposal that was heard by the Planning Commission and with some changes back in July, it was for 28.105 acres with 177 units, which is a density of 6.3 units per acre, and with proposed rental cap at 15%, and then 0 2-car garages. The last zoning plan that we had for the 28.105 acre property was 155 units at a density of 5.52 units per acre and a 3% rental cap, and all 2-car garages. The zoning master plan that was provided with this submittal dated December 29 was for 60.2 acres, 250 units, which resulted in a density of 4.17 units per acre. And so it went down from 6.3 to 4.17. I do believe that the rental cap on that was 3%, and again, all 2-car garages. was being proposed on that master plan. This is the August 23rd, 2020, and as you can see, this is the small lot and only 28 point some odd acres. This is the proposal received with this application for the 60.2 acres, and it is proposing to have a line of townhomes adjacent to the industrial area and a large park in the middle, or large green space in the middle, and large green space along Glen Road and the southeast corner of the site, adjacent to the 100-foot transmission line easement. They just submitted a revised master plan showing 3 right turn lanes at all 3 entrances, 2 entrances on G's Mill and on Glen Road, along with the secondary entrance on G's Mill being right in and right out access only. And that was due to a traffic study that they submitted as well for the 60.2 acre site. And they also submitted picture elevations showing what front entry garages would look like, along with rear entry garages as far as the front facades go. So staff believes that this will provide residences for the employees of G's Mill Business Park, along with the Sigmund Salem Road corridor. And it is more consistent with the comprehensive plan's housing goal by providing housing opportunities that will accommodate the needs of the community and reflect the variety of options to suit their preferences. We also believe that it would result in a housing type that is currently not prevalent within the county, and that it may serve as a buffer between the industrial uses in the city of Conyers to the west and the existing single-family residences on large lots and single-family neighborhoods to the east. Additionally, the existing future land use category of medium density residential for the 2 Glen Road properties does already permit the proposed RM zoning district. And additionally, changing the future land use category of industrial for the 3 G's Mill Road properties will assist in providing more housing options. Therefore, staff recommends approval for amending the future land use map from light industrial and medium density residential to high density residential. Staff is also recommending approval of the request to rezone the property from single family residential to residential multifamily with conditions and such as we're limiting, if approved by the BOC, we are recommending limiting the units to 250 townhome units, and that all also have 2-car garages, and that the townhouse buildings that are interior to the site shall be rear loaded with alley access in the town, and allowing the townhome buildings around the exterior of the site to be front loaded or rear loaded as the developer chooses. And we're also recommending that the garage doors be carriage style, and that contingent upon approval of the rezoning, there shall be no request made to annex any part of the RM site for 30 years from the date of approval. Additionally, we are recommending that the final plat does have a clause regarding the fact that this will be adjacent to an already existing development that is industrial. Additionally, we are recommending conditions involving the sidewalks, that a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalks be provided along both Gees Mill Road and Glen, that internal sidewalks be provided on both sides of the street. Additionally, a 20-foot landscape strip shall be provided adjacent to Gees Mill Road with shade trees and shade and street trees, along with the preservation park area shall be provided along Glen Road on both sides of the entrance road. And a minimum of 112 overflow parking spaces shall be provided throughout the development. And those are just a sample of our proposed conditions. And I will yield to the yield for any questions.
Curious, which of the tax parcel numbers is the bordering ancestral property?
Okay, so
which number?
The property. So we're talking about the 32 acre tract here. There's two lots right here. And then there's the 2 lots on Glen Road that are subject to this specific property. The ancestral may be regarding 330 Glen Road, which is either this property here or the next one.
On our agenda, you've got 5 parcel numbers. Which of the ones is the ancestral?
You mean ancestral? I'm sorry, Tom, but what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just curious. First off, what is an ancestral? And I wanted to bring it up as I was asking that question. Karen, can you answer me on what is an ancestral?
Well, I apologize. Where did you get the ancestral from? I mean, did that come up in
the definition? He mentioned it was the property bordered an ancestral plot. And
okay, if you can go back to the parcel numbers.
That's what I wanted. I'm bringing up the right parcel number.
Typically, that's the parent parcel. If I can see the parcel numbers, if I'm thinking that's what you're asking.
No, what is the definition of an ancestral property?
Oh, well.
Darius?
Where did you see that? We do not know where you're seeing that.
Well,
you mentioned it.
It's actually, if you look at the parcel number, it's 2 parcel numbers are same. One is with letter H. One is with letter A.
Okay.
So basically those parcel numbers once upon a time was one parcel, then divided into several. So that's what it means. The parcel number is same, 092001015. And then it was divided into 2 parcels, and 1, 2 was divided into 2. So that's
yes,
what
they come from a parent parcel. The parent parcel is subdivided and it's sold off. So a parent parcel comes without the letter after the number. In real estate, when I'm running a title, I'll go back to the parent parcel, which comes out without the letter behind it. So typically the 12A comes out. If that's what you're asking, if that's what you're talking about.
I thought it referred to a property being, like a homestead or something. Is that not?
Typically.
All right. That's why I wanted to see what the homestead looked like on the tax parcels because I can bring it up on my screen and see what's on the property.
Hey, Tom. So Karen is correct. It's the original block of parcels before it was subdivided and carved up. And so that, I think we refer to that as the parent parcel.
Original.
Yes, the original. So not to be confused with anything historical or anything tribal either. This is just, we're talking about the parent parcel.
All right, that's where I was confused because I did not know the definition of what that property meant.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Thank you.
So the new parcel number is the new property is 2325 Gees Mill Road. And so that's the 32-acre property that was added. And that is this property right here, adjacent to the city of Conyers.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we say that no adjacent parcel will become part of that subdivision, does it mean it is blocking these 3 residential parcels, which are 5 acre a piece, I believe, to stop from redeveloping it? Or that will be considered as a separate entity so that they can do it?
So if the developer plans on adding any additional properties to this development, then those would be handled at a later date, if I got your question correctly.
I mean, you said that nothing will be, once this is finalized, nothing will be added for next 30 years. The adjacent parcels will not be allowed to add it.
It was annexed.
Annexed to the city.
Okay, annexed into that, okay.
All right.
I had a question. You had the 2 site, the master plans, the one July, one in December. The one in December shows a lot more green space. When we make a vote on these things, these items, we're not voting on this condition to this master plan. So I really like all the green space in it, but that doesn't mean it's going to end up like that. Am I correct? We got 2 different ones.
So, right. So I'll extrapolate and say that the applicant did not have time to change this screen here to show the right in and the right turn lanes and the right in and right out. However, if the planning commission were to vote to recommend approval, then the planning commission can say that it would be conditioned upon a specific site plan. And again, the only difference between December 29 and February 10th that I've observed was the colors. But the traffic study is recommending right turn lane at all 3 entrances, and the secondary Gees Mill Road being right in, right out only.
I was specifically referring to the difference, not between the black and white one and the color one, but the one that was from July 8th, 2020. That one.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, or you may not know, the applicant actually conducted public involvement outreach with the neighborhood. And so What they did was actually change the layout and reorientation of the actual development after consulting with the public. And so if you notice when they included more acreage, the green space was one of the I guess the changes, if you will, after coordinating and meeting with the public. They actually shifted the location of the building footprint further, I guess, south, if you will, closer to the industrial in the city of Conyers. And so this new change is, again, I guess they try to be amenable to the public after their outreach, and they also decrease the density as well. So this is the one that, as Terrence mentioned, we could require, you all could require that we could approve this with the conditions that they utilize this particular design.
Right.
So it was a change after, I guess, initially withdrawing it last year, I think last July, after talking to both staff as well as to the local community to make it more amenable to, I guess, the surrounding communities and the neighbors. After talking to them, the designer, the applicant went and they actually came up with this new concept. And so again, as Terrence mentioned, we could require them approval with the condition to comply with this actual concept.
Okay, great.
Do we have a lot of speakers?
Yeah, we haven't, yeah, well, we need to hear from the agent first.
Right.
If there's not any further questions at this time, I will stop sharing and yield it to the applicant.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will hear from the agent.
This is Kenneth Wood, 350 Research Court, Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Before we start the clock? Okay, fantastic. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Wanted to make sure. I think I can clarify a lot of information to kind of be able to tell kind of the journey that we've been on. This is a very unique opportunity on Gee's Mill and Glen Road. And it really became a culmination of going through the hearings, getting a lot of feedback from really, you guys, the community, different people we talked to. And we kind of came up with an opportunity once we found that the additional land next to us was available, that we could kind of get the best of both worlds, which was we're going to be able to make a plan that was closer to the comments that we had heard. And the comments we had heard were quite a few, and I'm going to run through what those are. You can see how the site plan sits now. It's hugged up against the back of the industrial. This is not super heavy industrial. These aren't really the large. You can see these up here are the larger industrial type distribution sites. This is more kind of your local industrial type uses. And so we've driven around there a lot, and they're very comfortable with the uses that are there. As we go a little further, so you guys can kind of see a zoomed in view, you can see how we have the tracks along here. This is Glen Road down at the bottom. You go back up here, and then this is Gee's Mill connecting over to Sigmund. And so the total track is 60.2 acres. Now it's 60.2. That is what we are proposing. And it's situated in between the medium density residential and the light industrial. And what's interesting, when you're looking at the project, and I'll come back here and explain this, is when you're looking at the project, is this on the future land use map is essentially the heavier use, which is this, which is going to be your light industrial area. And then you have your medium density residential. However, if you really look at this slide, what we got from the community and what we see in driving that road is Gee's Mill just does not feel between Sigmund and going out toward the, some of these sections, over toward Glen and a little bit further as an industrial road. And so a lot of the comments we got from the community was that they would be excited to see the not have the industrial stretch down Gee's Mill toward their residences here. And so that was one of the things that was driving here. And so you can see how it's situated, and that this is a perfect transition between what is the industrial on the more heavy traveled Sigmund, and then transitioning into the neighborhood. And so that's where we came out with the RM, and that this is a great location for that housing, because It's essentially a great transition from the heavier uses over to the medium density residential. And you can see the high density residential down here as well going through it. As we keep going, so specifically this was only being shown tonight and staff used it as well. This is where we were at previously on the plan. And so when we previously came before you, what we were doing with this, we have some of the elements of it, but we have a lot, it's a much better plan now. We had a 50-foot buffer here, and in places we had taken away some of the units here to get even bigger buffer to the residents here. And then all the residents that are here and future residents that could potentially be here in more of a single family detached capacity, and the detached all along here. And so we tried to create those buffers, but we still were not, very far away from that transition. We were able to have mostly front loaded, and just wasn't quite the plan that when we talk into the neighborhood in terms of having a good mixture of rear and front load, having a good, amenity, and then having the traffic distribution with multiple entrances, which would be 3 versus the 2, and everybody kind of coming back down toward 1 at G's Mill. So this one was the 6.29 units per acre density. And obviously when we've gone back and retooled this, we've lowered that quite a bit. And so this is our current plan that we are proposing. And I want to walk you guys through how we've got here. And I'll bring it down where you can kind of see everything. You can see the back of the industrial down here. You can see that there is a buffer behind the industrial. And then we have a large buffer to the residences. This is upwards of 70 to 100 feet over here. And then if you go along the frontage, everything is pulled back anywhere. The amenity area is pulled back about 70 to 80 feet off of G's Mill. We have trails that wrap throughout the entire site. That's what these would designate as. And we have the potential to potentially add even more trails through the site. But what we were really trying to do was we were trying to make a site plan that we have the ability to protect so much of the vegetation on here and give buffers down to the industrial, and then really large buffers to the residential, which was asked for repeatedly by the neighbors, and then be able to come in here and make traffic improvements that are a significant difference for this. And so like you heard on that one application where they were talking about needing to go to more of a rear loaded unit, we've already incorporated that style. So when you drive into our entrances, all these are rear loaded, and we have them sitting on green space. We have these units in the middle looking over this park area. We have these units looking over a park. We have a large playground, basically a community pool, a community amenity area, a cabana. As you drive further in here, these are all rear loaded. It's only where we back up along these edges where we do want people to experience out their back door the nature that we're able to preserve. And we've already looked at grading plans on this, and we're able to really stay tight with this grading and really do preserve literally this much of it. And so this is, is 22 years of doing this and zoning all over the place. This is probably the most open space I've seen on a plan. One of the lower density townhomes I've ever seen at essentially our density right now is 4.16 units per acre over the entire tract. And we're sitting over 65% open space, almost 70% open space, which is pretty unbelievable when you're looking at it. And we're doing that with the rear loads, facing park areas here through the middle, as I mentioned, over on this side. And then we essentially have this kind of nature connection, through here and getting back here to the back, and then preserving all this back here. And then we have the other connection back over to Glen. And so as we move through the plan, some of that was really, really popular. We have 100% 2-car garages. Some of the other things we have that are really important that you can see through the plan is we have very much sufficient guest parking. Everything has a 2-car garage and 2 cars in the driveway. Plus, we also have upwards of 112 guest spots. And so that gives us a very large amount of parking for this community, kind of spaced throughout the entire community for guest parking, which I know is a concern anytime you're doing a housing of the townhome style. You want to make sure you have that guest parking. As I said, we have right turn lanes coming in to both entrances. This is limited access, right turn coming into here. And as I go down, we have a style. These are the rear loaded units. These are rear loaded, so they'll be alley fed from the back side. All 4 of these types are the type of rear loaded units we're talking about. We also have front loaded units, which would have the 2-car garage, and these would be the carriage style doors that we would be proposing. We also wanted to give you guys a good idea for what the interiors would feel like and how upgraded these would be. And so these would have all of the upgraded finishes that you see in houses today on new builds, upgraded lighting, upgraded trim packages, kitchen packages, bathroom packages, the flooring as we go through. And so as we get down to the amenities, we're looking at trails because we have, almost 70% open space. The trails is really what we think is going to be a big attraction. And we're proposing towns, which is a unique product type, which isn't very prevalent in Rockdale, but it's a housing type that more and more people are going to because it's a lock and go concept. Whether you're, it's your first job and you're a young professional, whether you're, middle and you have starting a family, or you're an empty nester, you're able to live the lifestyle to be able to lock and go, and you don't have to worry about the maintenance of your yard because the HOA is strong because you have enough units to maintain the yard, maintain your playgrounds, maintain the pool and playground areas that we're proposing through here to be able to provide a healthy lifestyle. And these are just some of the excerpts that we took out of here about the growing diversity in housing, and that how much anticipated housing was needed to be grown in Rockdale, as you guys know. Stormwater runoff is not a problem. We have several large ponds that we're proposing a regional solution. This is not a septic development. This is all on basically sanitary gravity. I have talked with the Rockdale Water and Sewer Authority about that. They're doing some flow monitoring, but they said the plants were not a problem for this one. And then traffic. We just completed the traffic study, and our patterns, essentially flow out to Sigmund, flow down Glen, back over towards Sigmund at Covington. And then one thing we found really unique is as we were looking through this, these are the improvements that we're proposing. But in addition to this, our study also called out that there's a stop sign down here at Old Covington and Glen that seems to be a lot of people run. And it was a comment from the community and some options that we actually came up in our study with some options to deal with that. And that ranged from that the stop sign seems to be short, too short per code, either raising the stop sign, putting LED strips on it, and installing be prepared to stop or stop ahead signs, or even some type of flashing section with stop sign. So we really tried to look at everything. We took everything that the community commented on to construct this new plan and be able to build it out. And there was another comment earlier that was talking about the plan in general, which was about the, I guess you could say, it was pretty much about, are we going to be conditioned to a plan? And so that black and white plan, that is our official zoning plan. This is our color rendering of the plan, but the black and white plan that we've submitted that's showing the decel lanes and showing this layout, that is the plan that we've been working on engineering and making sure that we can fully follow through with this on. And so with that, I'll open it up to any questions you guys may have on it.
I have one question.
Yes.
Where's the dog park?
So we right now we have so many options. It's not even funny. But what has been talked about is because the community is so balanced one side to the other, is that this central area here would be great for a dog park so that it's even walking.
Your dog
You'd
wanted
have
you to
every
ask
unit
that.
sold.
What is the price point of these homes?
Brian, can you unmute and let them know the price point?
Sure, they'll start in mid 200s and move up from there.
So starting at 250.
You said the minimum square feet is 400. What's the maximum? Because it seems like the space you just showed was quite a bit more than the 400 square minimum.
No, it's not 400. Brian, do you know the minimum square footage?
Are you talking about the square footage of the homes? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. The square footage of the homes. I think it's 1650 is our smallest plan, but it may be up to maybe 1750. I'd have to go back and look at the plans.
Okay.
I think you may have saw
That's where it's on
there was in the standard code for RM, it talks about 400 minimum square feet of open space per unit. And we were demonstrating on this that we're at 7,500 square feet per unit of open space compared to the minimum code, just to show how much above the minimum we are.
Thanks for your clarification.
Any other questions for Mr. Wood?
You said that you spoke to the homeowners in the area. I recall that there was a lot of pushback the first time this came up. I know to hear from any opposition, but you spent a lot of time with the people in the area, obviously. It seems like you've worked some time to address a lot of their problems. Was there some things that you feel that you were not able to address that and you're still working on at this time, or you feel like you've addressed everything that you can with them?
So it's a great question. So yeah, on the first proposal, the original proposal, we did hit some roadblocks, and then, but even with that one, we kept working that plan. We changed it 4 or 5 times, and we actually had the opposition down to much less opposition at that time, but it still didn't quite get us to where we wanted to be. And then the opportunity for this land came up, and it really addressed all the comments. One was, everybody still had in their mind that there was this industrial land that was going to be left, a large piece that could be fronting G's Mill. And so that was still an open item, that there's potential for a large industrial on G's Mill. So this takes that land and essentially takes out any industrial that would be right here on this residential section of G's Mill. But at the same time, what's amazing about this is it just kind of lined up that Brian was able to get it and able to, be able to do a project like this and have this much open space. It was just an interesting circumstances that we're able to put that much open space and have, such a big project. The transportation we were able to get, the additional roadways, take out the industrial, have the massive buffers, have the walking trails. We're doing the 2-car garage, the rear loaded, the guest parking, and then also looking at the traffic study for the safety in the area. We even came up with a slide just to show that, this is the site we're talking about here. And then the future sites they kept asking about, and we were saying that and wanted to say it in front of you guys that, these tracks are more single family detached oriented because they're deeper into the neighborhood and not touching that industrial. So I do believe with them knowing that this is detached, I'm sure some of the comments was just make it all detached, but really other than that, with us taking out the industrial issues, the traffic, items being able to address, and then all the other items I name, I feel like we've done everything to be able to. And with the community meeting we just had, we only had 3 people show up to it, and it went really well.
All right, that pretty much satisfies my follow-up. Okay, thank you.
Ken, regarding the community pool, I noticed it's off to one end of the project. How much parking is allowed there? Because residents at the far end would have to drive, obviously, to go to the community pool. Is there any thought been given to live it more centralized for the pool?
You know, we've talked about a number of things. I think the idea kind of came from the community meetings, and that we talked about having the amenity closer to the road so that the towns would be further back, and so it kind of kept that frontage corridor cleaner with just a more of an amenity look. There is about 40 to 50 parking spaces just here. There's a ton of parking all along here for people to drive, but it's not something, you know, if there was any tweaks to the plan is totally set. But, you know, if this went over to here, you know, I could see that being, but we thought it was a better plan to be able to kind of showcase the property with a really pretty frontage with the amenity. That's just kind of how we were thinking about it.
Well, the fact that you've got ample parking satisfies my question.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, at this time is there anybody signed up to speak? Anybody from the public?
Yes, we have 4 speakers in the auditorium tonight speaking in opposition. First speaker is Mr. Roton of 2500 Glendale Drive.
Great.
Okay. Hello, my name is James Roten, and I do live in the area. I have a bordering property to the one where he says it's the additional 10 acres. I live in 2500 Glendale Drive. And the first thing I've got is a question to clarify this traffic study, because we have not seen any traffic study. We've not seen any sign of anything across the road, anything. So we'd like to have a little more information on when this was done and what was the procedure in which it was done in.
He can address that in the rebuttal, like.
All right, we'll address it in the rebuttal, because we also have a problem here when we have 251 units and we have the average, because I own a lot of units myself, an average of 5 people per unit. That's going to give us 1,255 more people. Okay, we already have foot traffic going down G's Mill, foot traffic going down Glen Road constantly, and it's already a safety hazard, and we're about to increase that. And so with the traffic study, along with pedestrian studies, I just don't understand how we're going to be able to do this if we don't have some type of sidewalks going up and for people to be able to walk out, because they're constantly walking towards Walmart all the time from our place. So there is a huge thing that I'm worried about. The third thing is that we already seen in the last meeting that we had problems with sewage. I do believe that it was Mr. Tom there that said it was already an issue. So now we're about to bring on, the last time we was talking about this was 178 units. Now we're going to be talking about 251 units. I don't see a problem being solved here. I see a problem being exaggerated, because I mean, I am in the community and I haven't been part of any community meeting besides the one I could not go to, and 3 people from our community went. So I would like to know more about how they're going to address these sewage systems, because the place was built for light industrial and it was single detached. And that is exactly what the design was when we actually designed it there. So where are we going to now when we actually increase this many homes in an area where it wasn't designed for that many homes? So that is the question that I have right now. I am going to talk about noise. We've already talked about that many times. We've already talked about the violence in the area. So those are the things that we need to have answered for us before we move further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Pat Parker, 2557 Glendale Court.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I've heard a couple of things in the previous speaker, I forget his name, who's advocating for this project. One, he keeps talking about the opposition and how he's trying to help and bring everybody together. But I don't know anybody in the neighborhood who is okay with this project. He keeps talking about how he's making concessions and trying to make things better for everybody. But everything you're talking about doing, the 2-car garages, the green space, the walking trails, the swimming pool, all that is so you can sell units. That has nothing to do with the people who live in the community. I live in that community. I'm also a business owner in Conyers, and I've seen a lot of changes in this area. Old Covington Junction was approved. That was 10, 15 years ago. Now it's practically a slum right in our neighborhood. The church was approved at the end of Glen Road towards I-20. On Saturdays and Sundays, if you live in the area, they've got people from the church out trying to direct traffic because it's so bad you can't drive down the road. Now we're going to add another 600 to 1,200 cars per day on a street that's a little bitty 2-lane windy road. That street probably doesn't have 100 cars a day going down it. And we're going to put an entrance on that street for 251 units. There's no way we're going to be able to handle this type of stuff in the community. Not only that, something we need to talk about is the vision for Conyers. We're bringing in more low-income houses. That area is designed for single-family homes. Why can't we bring in higher income homes, make this area more affluent like a Johns Creek or Cumming or one of the nicer areas instead of having us become the next Livonia? We keep bringing in too many low-income houses in this area. We need to think about the vision of Conyers in the future. How do we want to grow? Do we want to continue being a low-income area, or do we want to raise our standards and make us a better place to live? These are things that we need to think about our future. As a business owner, I have to have a vision for my business to grow in the future. Right now in this area, we get our business gets robbed continuously. I'm on a first name basis with the police because of what happens all the time. I've had trucks, trailers, tools, everything stolen right in the middle of our parking lot in a retail area. It's not the best place right now, and by bringing in low income, we're going to continue going in the wrong direction. My wife was one of the people who was robbed out at the horse park, not a mile from where we're putting this, that they finally caught the guy because the cops had to run a sting out there, and they finally apprehended the person robbing all the women out there trying to use the horse park. My wife is also works for one of the high schools, Rockdale County High School. You'd be amazed what goes on in these schools. We have to turn this community around, and we're not going to continue to do any good by bringing in more low-income housing. We need to take this area across the street. There's $450,000, $500,000 homes, and we're bringing in more $200,000 homes. Let them build the bigger homes. I don't care, and y'all shouldn't care how big a paycheck they get from selling all these properties. Y'all should care about the community and how it affects us and what our growth and what our potential looks like in the future. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sherry Barnell from 2471 Gees Mill Road.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. We are here to voice our opposition against this proposal for a high-density townhouse development in our community. And of course, Inline is here hoping it passes so they can make their millions in our county and go back to their counties which they live in to spend it. We are asking you to please let us keep our community from becoming a high-density community. In a 1.5 mile radius, we have approximately 143 homes, all single-family residents. If Inline comes in, it will be approximately 250 homes in a 60.2 acre area. That changes the whole dynamics of our community to the negative. We love the small town feel of Rockdale County. We're not opposed to growth, but we are asking that the growth be within keeping what we have presently. This is not consistent nor compatible with the existing area. If we residents had wanted congestion and density, we would have chose another county. We didn't. We want an area just like we have now. Along with that, it's growth, like an area that can accommodate what we have now. We, your taxpayers of many years, we love our county, and we do not want to see our community compromised. In their revisions, they still have the high density, no masters built on the main. I was one of those 3 people that was here in December or January at the meeting. And I believe only 3 because there was very few people that knew about that meeting. But I asked personally Brian about the rental loophole. I seen tonight where it's still 3%. He personally told us 3 that it would be 0%. I'm hoping that he changes that because that is not what I seen tonight. It's showing 3%. In concern with the traffic study, how accurate can it be given there are no school buses running, many commuters are working from home now, even many Rockdale County employees, and approximately 1 mile down the road from Inline's proposal, a large plant will soon open with hundreds of commuters to be added at that time. We, your residents, are asking you to deny Inline's proposal to come into our community and change it in a way that we feel will be a negative impact on our life. If this is allowed to be built, it will only be the beginning to our end and our wishes as your residents. We ask that you hear our plea and please deny Inline's proposal. And I also have another petition. I had gotten one up the first go around. This is another petition signed by many people who could not make it here tonight. And I would like to present that also. And I'd also like to ask about this 10.5 acres. I understand that's going to be a detached area with single detached homes there. But will that not be or ever be not included in the 60.2 acres? And our bottom plea is that they have, yes, they've made concessions. They went from 154, which we kept asking and asking, and they did that. Well, now at 60 acres, 60.2, they bumped it up 100 homes. So where have we accomplished that much? Yes, they're giving us more green space. In that green space, they're adding 100 extra homes. So we are just not wanting this in our community. It is not in concept of what we have now. It will change our community and the dynamic of it. And we're just asking that y'all please do not allow this kind of congestion to be built right in this area. I know many townhouses are being built in Rockdale County. I know there's a wave of the future, but yet we are your existing taxpayers. We've been here many, many years. We're going to be here many, many years. And I'm just asking you to look out for us because, like I say, they're a big conglomerate. They're here to make money, and that's the bottom of the line. Maybe it's nice, maybe it starts off nice, but they're adding a big, big high-density area to a community that I don't think it's compatible. So that's our plea to y'all tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And our final speaker is Miss Priscilla Reed Farmer from 1800 Millstone Manor.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address my concerns.
It looks like she's on mute. If we can unmute her. Here we go.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. This gentleman here said most of it all. Ms. Sherry said it all. the only thing I can say is that I moved in this community, I moved in this area because it was country. It was quiet, it was peaceful. You put these townhouses over here, it's gonna be like a madhouse, especially transportation. This area can't handle that many cars. I don't care if he says he got 3 exits for coming out, in 3 exits with 3 entrances. They still can't accommodate that many cars. And especially rental property, especially talking about rental property, he said there wasn't gonna be any rental property. Now he said it's 3% rental property. You know, there's gonna be, I don't know what it's gonna be, likely crime in the area. You know, people communicating, traveling from one community to the next, walking in the areas. Yeah, they can do that. You know, water sewer problems. I'm having problems with my sewer right now at Millstone Manor. And I'm here to represent Millstone Manor. Most of the homeowners can't be here, but I'm hoping, you know, I thought they was gonna be here, but I'm here to represent Millstone Manor. You know, problems with the sewer, the additional 10 acres. He said he might build single houses. I don't know if he has changed it or what. You know, I don't know what else to say that can eliminate these townhouses. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, that was our final speaker in the auditorium tonight.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will hear from the applicant for any rebuttal or answers to questions that the opposition has.
Are y'all able to still see the screen?
Yes, we are now.
Okay, perfect. So I'll try to take them in order.
So Ken, we do have Abdul on, our traffic engineer, and there were a lot of questions about the traffic. So let's make sure we allow him to provide information on the traffic report.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first question was about, you know, our site covers a lot of this frontage. And so all of our frontage will have new sidewalks. There was a discussion about sidewalks and you know, how to get from one place. And so our entire frontage would have sidewalks provided along it, beside just the internal trails through the development, as well as the internal roads through our development. You know, it's always tough. This was, you know, I almost hesitate to show this, but we had a lot of different questions, as you guys can see. So just to be totally clear, we do not have this property under contract. The property is just this property. I was just making the idea or the thought that because everybody asked about the 10 acres since it's not developed, that any additional development going past this line, it does make more sense for it to be single family detached. And that's all I was saying for that. The other thing that's always a tough thing, you know, anywhere we go into and we're dealing with single family detached communities abutting to townhomes is people, you know, I guess people don't understand how they live, and that, you know, starting in the 250s going up into the 3s is, you know, not considered a, you know, essentially, you know, housing that's going to be bad housing and everybody's, you know, bad. And, you know, that's something that, you know, is kind of tough to hear, because we see this with the open space and with, you know, having a good number of units, being able to have a strong HOA as a community, they'll be very vibrant. And, you know, we're trying to distribute the traffic flow, you know, to have less impacts on that. And, you know, a lot of the comments were about, you know, it's going to come in and just change the way of life. But, you know, the same reason that, you know, people like to live in the area would be the same reason this should feel that way. This here is only just slightly above 4 units per acre, which is not far away from a single family detached density. And so all this green space that's provided in this plan will essentially live that way for everybody. I mean, everybody has all of this country feel open space as part of their community, but this is just a style of housing that people want to live in. And that's just, you know, one of those tough things where, you know, they may not just agree with, you know, this type of housing, but it's definitely a type of housing so many people are moving toward and want to see. And so with that, I'll turn it over. If Abdul could unmute yourself and let's run through kind of some of the traffic to help people understand some of the flows.
Yeah, real quick, Abdul, before you say anything about the traffic, we'll kind of finish up with the traffic and hopefully put some facts to that. I'll just say I understand people, as someone said, I moved out here to live in the country. I get that people don't want change, and I understand that they're willing to use whatever argument they can in order to keep change from happening. Something's going to happen on the site. The site is going to sell. It's going to be an industrial site. It's going to be something else. Something is going to happen here. I think we've have a very thoughtful design, environmentally friendly, with a preservation of a bunch of green space and clustering the development on the site. And frankly, I'm really offended about the crime, comments and some of the other just frankly classist arguments that I heard regarding why we don't want people like this living here. The fact that people are clapping at that, they should be embarrassed, to be quite honest. And I'm offended by it, and I hope everyone else is as well.
I agree.
Let me introduce myself to continue with addressing some of the questions and comments from the neighbors about traffic. My name is Abdul Amir. I'm a traffic engineer with A&R Engineering. I was retained to conduct a traffic impact study for the project, and we studied several intersections in the area and collected traffic counts at these intersections from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And there is this concern about how can you get accurate counts during these COVID times when the schools are closed, buses aren't running, and those are very valid questions and concerns. What we've been doing throughout the last year, since the schools kind of were impacted and some people are commuting and not commuting regularly and just working from home and things like that, is we have policies established by regional agencies, transportation agencies, state DOT, and most counties, wherein we continue to do studies, development and zoning decisions continue to be made. And we basically make adjustments to the data we collect using historical data pre-COVID times. So for example, if I go out there and collect data today at say 4 or 5 intersections during these 4 hours that I mentioned, I would have to adjust those numbers up by comparing some count that I do today to something pre-COVID. And we did exactly that here. So we had a data point. The Georgia DOT collected counts a couple of before the COVID impact. And then we went out there, collected a count exactly at the same location. And we made a determination that the counts that we got today were 30% lower than what they should be. And I've been doing this throughout the year, dozens and dozens of traffic studies. And we're seeing consistently that kind of adjustment factor. Some places are 25, 30, some places are, less than that. But so we did make adjustments based on actual determination of what's the decrease in counts in this area relative to what it was before COVID impact. So that's one question I wanted to go ahead and answer. The second thing is really about number of trips. There was some discussion about that, and I wanted to see if I could share my screen real quick and get the permission to do that.
Go ahead, I just stopped.
Okay, let me try and see if I can share my screen here. Okay, I hope you can see a page from my traffic study that lists the number of trips that we estimated will be generated by this project. So we're required to use standard practice data from hundreds and hundreds of similar facilities throughout the country, from a standard called ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Handbook. And basically it's based on how many units we're doing. It'll tell us based on hundreds of statistical data points how many trips this project will generate. For example, here for this project, we estimate that there'll be 26 cars entering in 1 hour in the morning. and most people will be leaving. Obviously, it's a residential project, so 88 trips will be exiting. And then similarly in the PM, about the same, 84 will be entering and 50 will be exiting. So if you start looking at this number in an hour, 88 cars, divide that up in 3 entrance points, maybe you're down to 30 cars. And then maybe half of them are turning right, half of them turning left. So you really get down to 1 car every 2 minutes or something like that. So it's not a big number, like 600 cars all of a sudden coming and going. They will be coming and going throughout the day in lesser numbers, but we're looking at the worst hours, and the numbers indicate that we have this type of volume from this number, which is not very high, especially given the number of entrance points and how they distribute and go away. So I just wanted to bring those 2 points forward. Finally, the recommendations of the study, we have identified several improvements that we recommended in the study, what needs to happen at the entrance points for them to operate safely, turning lane additions and things of that sort. And also we recommended, as Ken mentioned, at the intersection on Glen Road to the south of the property, certain improvements that can happen to improve safety there and decrease number of accidents. So it was a pretty comprehensive study. We looked at Rockdale County's ordinances, and I do a lot of studies in all counties, including Rockdale County, and complied with what they wanted done. We even looked at year 2027 as a horizon year and projected levels of service and how things will operate several years down the road. And bottom line is the levels of service that exist at the intersections around the site is not going to be negatively impacted. The change is not significant, and the recommended improvements, if implemented, will more than mitigate the impact from this project. With that, I'll conclude and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? The applicant have any more presentation, or you're ready for questions? Or
I don't. Brian, do you have anything else, or are we all good?
Sir.
I'll ask a couple of questions at about the rental properties. Said 3%. That would come out to 3.5 units, designating for, I mean, 7.5 units you're designating for a rental.
I'm not designating any for rental.
No, a maximum.
Yeah, they're saying there's a maximum. Here's the issue, and I'm not going to live here, so ultimately I don't care, other than I'm trying to do the right thing. I know Sherry Barnwell really wants it to be 0%. I understand her concern on having people who don't own homes here. However, I don't think that's the best interest of people who live there. All of us can imagine a scenario where we were living in that townhome. We got transferred to Chicago next month, and for whatever reason, we can't sell the townhome and can't afford rent in your new city, and you can't afford a mortgage at the same time, and someone gets foreclosed on. My recommendation would to be have a small number, a handful, 5, 7, 10 units that run by the HOA. They allow that for emergency situations for someone to be able to rent their townhome. If y'all want to make it 0%, happy to, we're not going to, run away from that. I told Sherry that as well. However, I do not think that's good planning to take it to 0%. I think, most, staff recommended a 15% rental restriction. I've done them at 10% before, pretty averagely. I've done them as low as 5%. I've never done them less than 5%, but I'm happy to go to 3% or even 1 or 2%. I don't think making it 0 is in the best interest of the community, because things do happen. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine with taking it to 0% if that's what the Planning Commission believes is. If someone wants to make a motion to prove it with 0%, I'm fine with that.
Thank you. Other questions?
I got a little, still got a little concern about traffic. The number of units, 251. You got very few units, and they're gonna have less than 2 cars per unit. That's over 500 cars at a time. Majority of them are gonna be leaving in the morning and coming in the afternoon. That's a little more traffic than what was figured out on the traffic study.
I'm sorry, what's your question? Are you saying, is your question whether or not the traffic study is correct? I'm sorry.
They had a question for the traffic.
I'll let Abdul answer that.
Thank you. So I completely understand, and I think a lot of people have the same question, that they just look at the number of units multiplied with 2 and just assume that everybody in the neighborhood, 2 cars per unit, will exit in 1 hour. What you have to realize is what we're looking at is 1 hour window in the morning, whether it be 7:30 to 8:30 or 7 to 8 or 8 to 9. We're looking at 4 15-minute consecutive intervals. So not everybody who lives there will exit every day at the same, within the same window of time, 1 hour. Not everybody leaves there. Some will leave at 7, some will leave at 8, some leave at 9, some will leave at 10, some won't leave at till 11. So they all leave at different times in the day, and not both cars might leave in the morning. There might be a couple who leaves and one person goes to work, the other may not. They may be taking care of a child at home. So these statistics that I've got to you, and your capable staff can review this and address from your county perspective if there are any concerns. But this is a very solid, established data point that every city, county, and even state, ARC, Greta, accepts it without any doubt. And I've been doing that more than 30 years in Metro Atlanta area, the same thing. So it's a very solid source. I'm not trying to insult your question. I think this question is reasonable to ask, and it just comes up often for me, but I want to assure you that this is based on very solid data.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? All right. In that case, we will hear county's recommendation.
Hey, so I just wanted to clarify a few points.
Sure.
Since at in a recent Tanner Bard, County Planner again, but the Rockdale County Transportation Department published a transportation plan and study about 2 years ago, here pretty recently, and they found that about 26,000 residents of Rockdale County commute daily. So that's about a third of residents. And so I just want to put out there that generally speaking, in most communities, about a third of residents commute. Additionally, I want to remind everybody as well that the Rockdale Department of Transportation also has plans to widen Sigmund Road and complete the Courtesy Parkway extension as well in the next 3 years. So those are 2 projects that RDOT is implementing currently that will address the traffic problems and growth that we're going to be seeing over the next couple of years. And so I just want to throw those things out there, just information from the county side to help put people at ease with their traffic concerns.
This is Terry Petrie again. So staff is recommending approval for the future land use map amendment request from light industrial and medium density residential to high density residential. Staff is also recommending approval with conditions of the request to rezone from R1 single family residential to RM multifamily residential. And we will need to have 2 motions, 1 for each.
There was talk about the possibility of using the master plan. Do you have any opinion on that?
I offered it up, and so definitely if the planning commission, if it would put the planning commission at ease with voting approval, then staff would suggest recommending with additional condition that it complies with the rezoning master plan dated February 10, 2021.
That was the date, February 10th, 2021? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And yes, sir.
Okay. Other questions of the county staff? Okay. There being none, we can close the public portion of the meeting, and we are now in discussion and our motions.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
My comment is this: I think that Rockdale County is a very inclusive county and a very welcoming county, and that we need to think about the fact that that location is very unique in that it's in an area where there's light industrial and industrial all around it. Well, industrial needs employees. And there has been a time, and I don't know if we're still in that time right now, where they've had problems getting staff. And we can't always have white collar workers and white collar housing out here. We also need housing for blue collar people. We need the whole spectrum of people. Whether or not this passes or not, I just feel that we can't just be class oriented people in Rockdale County. And some of the comments that were made were upsetting to me. And so that's it. Thank you for letting me say that.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Karen. Are there any other comments or motions?
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
was having difficulty getting unmuted. I take Karen's point very well as far as what she was saying about the white collar, blue collar. I've got 2 points of contention regarding this project. First off, I think it's a tad oversized for what they're proposing. And second, I don't think there has been enough communication, proper communication or discussions with the neighbors around. I think it's gotten from the tone of listening to both sides, it sounds like they still have some issues to solve. And so I don't think I'm quite convinced that the size of this project as is the way we should go. Just my opinion.
Okay. Any other comments?
I would like to make a comment as well. Rockdale is a very inclusive community. I live in a mixed community with industry and high in density, but as far as a lack of homes for blue collar, the only thing that I've seen over the past, probably over the last year, as far as this what come before us is for townhomes and high density type residential homes. And the future land use map should be considered. And when we think of making votes, it's a plan with a purpose. And as we continue to modified is why do we even make an effort to do a future land use map if we don't go by it? And I want to consider the homeowners because they are open to change. They just open to difference. And I don't think they've met them at a center point where they can both, where they're satisfied enough as a homeowner and a Rockdale County taxpayer. And I kind of disagree with where it is right now.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, at this time, I'll entertain any motions.
Well, may I ask one more thing?
Yes, please.
Is there a problem? I have a question. This is for the county. Will the meeting with the county, when the county makes their decision, is it going to be open to the public or is it going to be a virtual meeting like this?
The Board of Commissioners zoning public hearing will be the same setup where the commissioners and will be virtual and staff will be virtual as well. However, the auditorium will be open to those who do not have access to the virtual platform.
Okay, so as many of the neighbors can come who are not in agreement or for or against can fill the auditorium and express themselves.
We would highly recommend that they participate virtually and we'll,
if they have
now and then we'll figure out a possibly better way of getting the information out. And I do know several of the community members did not like the 9 a.m. However, with the virtual platform, they could participate from their workplaces if permitted, and not have to drive all the way back to Conyers.
Because I forget one of the speakers had a petition with quite a few people who had signed it, which gave me the impression there was quite a few people who were in opposition. And they most likely will not be able to be at a 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock hearing.
It's in person.
So in person. So, okay. All right. That was my only other comment.
Thank you for the clarification about that.
Thank you, Karen. All right. Any other comments or motions?
I would make a motion to approve, but I think I would be in the not exactly, so I will wait.
Well, you're certainly free of anybody to make a motion. That's up to you.
I'll make a motion. Okay, what was the first item? Let me see here, because I have everything on my phone.
Yeah.
What is the first one?
Request to amend the future land use map to redesignate property from light industrial and medium density to high density residential.
I make a motion to approve that with the conditions, the county conditions.
Okay. Which the county conditions would go with the zoning, but.
Pardon.
It's okay. Okay, we have a motion by Karen to request to amend the future land use map to redesignate the property from light industrial and medium density to high density residential. Okay. Is there a second?
Okay, this is Ronnie. I'm going to second it.
Okay, you have a second from Ronnie. Okay. All in favor of amending the comprehensive land use map, light industrial and medium density to high density industrial? If you can say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so aye, Karen, aye,
Ronnie, aye.
Ronnie, aye. There any more ayes? Okay. All right, motion fails. Which means can entertain another motion. Right. So the motion fails. And is there another motion?
Would item 2B fail because of lack of a motion?
Correct.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Kalanis Johnson, Planning Director. It needs to be a motion for the rezoning as well. The first motion.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, just make sure, yeah. It needs to be a motion for the rezoning as well as the future land use amendment. So the first one seemed to be for just the future land use amendment. There needs to be a motion for the rezoning as well.
Right. I was trying to get the motion for the future land use amendment, as we don't have, I guess all, it failed to pass.
Okay. So I'm saying, and so that's so they're trying to clarify, is the recommendation from the planning commission to the board of commissioners that it be denied based upon the vote.
We don't have that motion.
So if we are not changing the land use, then the second motion is not even needed. Do you think that it will be needed? Because then the zoning will not be.
Well, technically, you still have to.
Well, let's make it simple. I'll make a motion on item R2B to deny.
Okay.
I second.
All right.
Ahmad.
Okay. Motion deny, second Ahmad. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. All right, let's call it names here. Okay.
Tom, aye.
Ahmad, aye.
Aye. Ernestine Stovall Goolsby.
Okay.
Steve?
I'm so it's right now we have 1, 2, 3 for denial. Okay. And there's 3 left. I'm very, very torn on this, to tell you the truth. What I would like to see is, since there's still a lot of questions from the community, I'd like the developer and the community to get together again. Because I was under the impression that they were all in agreement, or mostly agreement. It seems that may not be the case. So there is a petition there, or we haven't seen it. So for proof to deny, I would like to see before the Board of Commissioners, the developer and the community get back together again.
Does that mean a deny?
Right. That means I'm going to deny with my caveat there or whatever. So motion carries to deny.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's pretty much conclusive to all of us that there needs to be some more communication. And
Okay.
I don't think we would have voted the way we did tonight without that understanding.
Right. Yeah, I want to make that clarification. So we're only a recommending body. So the whole thing has not been denied.
Correct.
And I want to clarify that. And so we send it back to the Board of Commissioners for their decision. But I think as a board, we're all, most of it I've seen, we're all would like to see the developer and the community get back together.
curious, is, just a suggestion from a board member, I would suggest that a communication with your office and the BOC be that they try to coordinate somehow a little bit more level of communication.
What more
with
can
the
they do?
community.
What more can they do?
Well, just more meetings or something, but so they can come to a better agreement of what the project should go forward with.
What more do you want them to give?
Pardon?
I have another suggestion, basically future land use map, we have to follow that.
Right.
We are talking about, something after that, why we designed that future land use plan if we don't want to follow it. That's the bottom line.
Developer.
This future land use map was approved just 3 months before COVID.
Does industrial.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
So the conference plan, if I remember correctly, was adopted in June or July of 2018. And that was an update. Now that we have Mr. Johnson and Mr. Barr and myself, we plan on working towards a complete update pursuant to state law for the whole county.
And I would like to add that update is due in
2022. It's due in a year or so.
This a general comment. We seem to have a lot of applications now for townhomes, and we do need what Rockdale County was missing is diverse housing. Okay, so we definitely need diverse housing in Rockdale. The question is, and I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you have a study. How many and this goes to the city too, how many townhomes do we need to actually provide the diverse housing? And then how many would be too much? Okay, I don't know the answer to this. Maybe we need a lot more. That's something to certainly consider in terms of the diversity of the housing in Rockdale County. I think it's good we're getting some townhomes. How many do we need is a question to make it diverse, or not too many of one or the other. And this is not a particular comment. It is not specific to this property. It's just in general.
I'd like to make that comment as well, that high density is very important for Rockdale County. But the only way is not townhomes. Tiny homes is another option. We have to increase the density for the businesses to operate. But once again, that density can be increased in the residential area, not by taking over the commercial area or by taking the industrial area. We still have land available in the currently residential area. So we have to focus on that and increase the density. There is nothing wrong with that.
This is Ronnie. I've got a comment about this property. And I believe the surrounding residents, their biggest problem, if I lived over there, would be the traffic flow on Glen Road. Glen Road is a very narrow road and a windy road. It empties out into Old Covington Highway and also into G's Mill. It's not really designed for a lot of high volume traffic. I believe, and I'm not positive, but I just feel like if they had the entrances and exits all on G's Mill, that would help the residents off of Glen Road an awful lot, because they're just looking at a lot of traffic coming down through there, and that's going to be a problem.
I'd like to add or comment, didn't we recently review a project on G's Mill just further up toward the horse park that had quite a large number of units on it also?
This one,
Didn't we?
this one.
This is Terrence Petrie. So with the county, as far as in the county, since my time began end of January last year, there was only one other project, and it was this project on its original 28 acres or so that was heard in July.
I was thinking it was the Barksdale property on Gees Mill Road. That would not have been in the city, would it?
That's before my time.
Scott, if you're still listening, can you jump in on this?
Yes, sir. I'm not aware of any development that the Planning Commission has reviewed that was on Gees Mill Road. The Barksdale property and the Barksdale family farm is in the county, but I do not believe there's been any plans or any movement to develop that. I could be wrong, but I don't recall anything such as that.
Does anybody else on the Planning Commission remember anything on Gees Mill regarding that?
It's this property. It's this property.
This is the only property I remember, and this is back in July.
It's this property.
We've
What we're
heard this
discussing
before. This
Yes,
is
we've heard it before.
all right. You may be thinking about because we've already heard it.
Maybe I'm confusing in that regard. I just thought there was something on the Barksdale property. Okay.
All right. More questions or move on?
Tom, this is Karen. It's this property.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Speaking about townhomes, we got item R3 as preliminary plat to a request to approve a 68-unit townhome development, 1101 and 0 Johnson Road. Parcel number 04400100045 and 04400100044.
Yes, sir.
Size 18.33 acres. Owners Sawco Development Group, LLC. Agent Planners and Engineers Collaborative Plus. Right.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Due apologize for that. This project came before this board back in June for a rezoning to a mixed use with commercial up front and 60 some odd units in the back. And and so that was approved by the Board of Commissioners in July, end of July of 2020. And staff believes that this does meet the zoning conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission and approved by the Board of Commissioners. And I was going to show you a portion of it, but the computer's not working at this moment.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, you have to click on every little spot.
Yes, sir.
Right. It's okay.
So I'll stop sharing on that. But.
All right.
Well,
Karen,
if I knew how to share my computer, I've got it up from the image you sent me.
Press the share screen. Okay. All right.
It's on my other screen, so I don't know if I can do that.
Okay. All right.
But so staff has recommended approval, and so the process would be if the Planning Commission voted to approve this preliminary plat, it would go to the county staff for a land disturbance permit, and afterwards, once the infrastructure is built, we would obtain the as-built. And then it would go, then the final plat would come after that. So just to kind of clarify on the process from here.
Okay, thank you. All right,
And just to clarify, that was infrastructure design would be reviewed through the land disturbance permit, and then as built after it is constructed for the infrastructure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So any more questions or motions?
Make a motion, we approve item R3, preliminary plat for 20-0101.
Okay. Motion by Karen to approve.
I would second it.
Second by Ronnie. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. We're moving on to reports. City of Conyers.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Looking at case number 1, 2, and 3 of 2021, the rezoning cases out there next to Target. If you all recall, last month, the request was to rezone those 3 properties to Gateway Village, Urban Village. The city council held a public hearing, and they followed the planning commission and staff's recommendation to approve the rezoning to Gateway Village, Urban Village from the RS 14 under the MXVUD Tier 2.
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Rockdale County report, none. And our next regularly scheduled meeting is on March 11th, Thursday, 7 p.m. And looks like it's going to be the same format, the auditorium virtually, and 903 North Main Street. Conyers 30012, and hopefully we can soon get back to meeting in person. We get all vaccinated and
Yes.
good to go. So, but we'll see you all at the meeting on the March 11th. And any public comments? There being none. Any motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Okay, motion second, adjourn. And before we go, will there be any county business in March?
Yes, we have moved that from this meeting to the next.
Right, we got that. Yeah, that one, but any other?
Yes, sir. We will have another townhome project.
Okay. All right.
And additionally, we will have at a minimum 1 text amendment
Okay.
from the county.
All right. Okay. And from the city? We have anything next month?
He's gone.
He's gone?
I finished it and he bolted.
All
He
right. Well,
adjourned.
okay. Well, I'll answer. I believe from the city, there will be another townhome
Of course.
proposal. So I'll speak for that there.
You
Okay.
keep denying them.
All right. Okay. Okay. All righty. So we've already adjourned. That was a side thing there. So y'all have a great time. Stay safe. And we'll see y'all in March.
Night, stay healthy.
So take care.
Good night.
Bye.